What is up, everybody? How are you doing today? Happy Thursday, September 24th. We are very excited to have you here at the Fantasy Tap. My name is Michael, and this is John.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fantasy Tap. Getting ready for our Thursday night preview, our must starts, as well as a few listener questions. And we do have a new addition to this set for right now. If you want to look behind my ugly face, there is going to be a beautifully signed Kenny Golladay jersey that if you want to take a look at our Instagram and our Twitter at the Fantasy Tap, you guys can figure out how you guys can take a chance to win it. Bring it home to you.
You better get in there quick. I mean, you got some time, but I mean, my phone's blowing up.
Yeah, we've been getting a lot of action on it so far. It looks like we're going to be the giveaway is actually going to be going on next Sunday.
Yep.
During our
October 4th.
Start Sit live stream. That way everyone has a chance to see who the winner is and how we fairly pick them, being that we can't keep it. And we want it.
Yeah. I said I want to keep this. So get on there. All you got to do is like the post and comment, tag 2 friends on either Twitter or Instagram, and you could win this thing.
Yeah, take your shots.
Yeah. So another thing, we just want to give you a little update on the listener league. John and I are killing it, 2-0, but
we can't win the helmet.
So
whoever else makes it to the championship game, congratulations, because we'll see you there, and that's an automatic win for you.
The only thing, we had both Christian McCaffrey and Raheem Mostert go down.
Hey, but we're active on our waivers. We've taken care of it. We've got it. We're ready. We're not going down. We're going for that perfect season.
Hopefully, that's the goal. But we love playing with everybody, all the listeners that we have in that league. It is fun so far. Ton of really good teams. And I believe, let me see, I don't think we're the only 2-0 team. Nope, we are not. We are not the only 2-0 team. So
no, we're actually ranked second.
Yeah, yep.
But we're killing it. That's all that matters.
Yes, sir. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, like John said, today we have our Thursday night preview. We've got, of course, injuries, news, updates, because the injury bug has bitten too many people, unfortunately. We've also got our must-starts, listener questions, and we also have a little bit of a trade action, trade for and trade away, players you should be targeting and or trading away. So, John, you want to jump into? Oh, look, somebody else tagged us.
Nice.
Or tag 2 friends. So.
Awesome. So some of the injuries that are going on are at least reconfirmed, a little more designation towards them. Christian McCaffrey, did find himself on IR this week, officially placed today on Wednesday. DJ Chark did not participate in practice with the game. Has not participated Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. He does play tomorrow, so I guess it's going to be a game-time decision more than likely.
Today, technically.
Technically today. You're going to have to take a last-second look, but they did say they think they're just being careful. If he doesn't play, big bumps are Keelan Cole, hopefully.
We'll get into that in the Thursday night preview, though.
Yeah. Josh Jacobs and Darren Waller, were also not at practice today. It's possibly for them having such a heavy workload in that Monday night game. I would expect them to be back tomorrow, Thursday at practice, and ready to go for Sunday.
Yeah, Jacobs had 27 carries, but he was on the sideline for a little bit, getting his hamstring or his leg looked at, but he came back on the field, which is nice. But I agree. I think it is just, they both had a huge workload, so I wouldn't be too worried about them. But Devontae Adams, he didn't practice.
No Devontae Adams.
Sad.
No, he actually did make a comment out and say that it's too early to tell whether or not he'd be ready for Wednesday, and that was a comment to Stacey Dales of the NFL Network. So, again, just want to make sure you're paying attention to any more news that comes out on his injury and what goes on with him, because that is someone that if he plays, you want him. If he does not, you obviously don't want to play him. Someone else, Julio Jones, did not practice. Another huge name coming out for everyone. He was a little banged up with a hamstring injury during the game on Sunday. Dan Quinn told Vaughn McClure of ESPN.com that the Falcons will take it through the week as far as his injury and resting him. So, again, a huge name that you're going to want to pay attention to. Going up against the Bears, it's possible they don't feel the need to play him if he's not healthy. They do have good receivers. So if he's not 100%, possibly doesn't even play or get a lot of play time.
If he doesn't, Hayden Hurst, again, Hayden Hurst, Russell Gage, and, of course, Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
All of them could have very, very fantasy-relevant days. John, did you hear what the doctors did?
I heard.
No. They punctured Tyrod Taylor's lung, administering a injection in between his ribs.
That doctor definitely had some Chargers players on his team, and he's just like, you know what? Got to take one for the team.
I am glad, though, obviously, that Tyrod Taylor's, fine. He was out. He went to the hospital after the game or during the game, was released. Everything seems to be okay, but the doctors are recommending that he doesn't play. So Justin Herbert looks like he's getting the start this week.
Recommended he didn't play because Justin Herbert made those fantasy teams relevant for those doctors. But no, Justin Herbert's ready to come in this week again, so good luck for him. I think that it's going to be great for him and the rest of the team. Do hope the Tyrod's healthy and everything goes well for him. Obviously not wishing any harm on him, just making some jokes there. As well, though, Cam Akers and Malcolm Brown out of practice on Wednesday. So
Darrell Henderson.
Looking for Darrell Henderson to have a big workload. They do think that Malcolm Brown does have a possibility of playing, but even though it's questionable at this point, meaning that if he's banged up, Darrell Henderson's still just going to have that huge backfield as well as opening up some opportunities for the tight ends and receivers.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, this could really help, or this week could be another really good week, solid week from Darrell Henderson. After this, if Cam Akers comes back or Malcolm Brown, the water starts to get muddied some more, and it could be, anybody's game. But this week, it looks like it's going to be Darrell Henderson again, which is solid for anybody who has him on their team. Potentially a pretty good flex play, but we'll get into that tomorrow when we go down our game breakdowns. But some news I like. Kenny G, baby. Practice in a limited fashion. He's looking like he's going to be good to go this week. So we'll update you on Friday to let you know what he did today and how it's looking for Kenny G this week.
Yeah, week 3 start could be good for him. Week 3 start of the season for him, looking good, but don't know how healthy that start's going to be or if he's ready to jump into that, projected number 2 role or wide receiver 2 role that Mike had for him at the beginning of the season. So he's going to have he's going to have some huge games if he's going to make that finish.
Uphill battle. It's all right.
So keep a lookout on that and make sure that he is actually playing. If you do decide to take the risk on him, just understand that it is his first game of the season.
And he does have a tough matchup.
Yeah. So like we mentioned, Christian McCaffrey did land on the IR. So sad to see for him, but should be back in a handful of weeks, especially if the Panthers are trying to make a playoff push. And then Jalen Reagor out with the UCL tear in the thumb. Projected about 6 to 8 weeks at the moment, and does require some surgery and rehab.
Yeah, so he is on IR.
Yeah, so
which stinks.
Carson Wentz losing another weapon, even though he's only there for a little bit.
Yeah, and then Jamison Crowder didn't practice again today, and of course, I don't know if you saw, John, or if they saw, but Sterling Shepard went on IR.
Poor guy with that turf toe.
Again, another injury for him. Feel bad for the guy, but Darius Slayton, Golden Tate. Fire up Evan Ingram, maybe. I mean, Saquon's out, so they could be getting peppered with targets. Or it could be just really ugly in New York.
Yeah, I mean, with that offensive line looking the way it does, see how they do. Devonta Freeman?
Yeah, they did. Oh, yes.
Yeah, they just signed Devonta Freeman, so let's see how he gets in there. It is pretty late in the week. I mean, I guess it's only Wednesday for him to actually get in there and have such a huge workload. But even while he's there, I'm only expecting him to be someone that's going to be a shared backfield, not going to be a huge high-end fantasy asset. Yeah,
I don't think any back in that backfield is going to have too much fantasy relevance. They'll have their games.
Yeah, they'll have sporadic, unpredictable, giant games here and there. But no one I'm going to actually ever want to play unless I'm really desperate.
Nope. So, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that is your injuries and news update. Let's get into our trade for and trade away targets. John and I talked about it a little bit, and we agree on a few players here. So, John, you want to jump into the first trade for target players that you should go after maybe a couple down weeks? Maybe people aren't too hot on them. Buy low.
Yeah, so this is someone who personally has been having pretty great games as a player, but fantasy-wise just hasn't been able to get in the end zone and put up the points. That's going to be Derrick Henry. Personally, I think that he's someone that a lot of people, if someone drafted him, they drafted him early in the first round. They were expecting huge games from him, and though he's been able to get the yards, like I said, he hasn't been able to get into the end zone, and has been extremely minimal in that pass-catching game. But we do know that Derrick Henry is someone that turns it up towards the end of the season. And with A.J. Brown possibly being out again this week he should have a great game going up against brain fart.
What? The Minnesota?
Oh, yeah, going up against Minnesota, someone who hasn't even had 100 downs on offense throughout the two games. They've been absolutely terrible, allowing a lot of points. I do think the Titans are going to be playing from ahead. I do think that Derrick Henry's just a powerful back. He will be getting in the end zone, and you're just going to see a positive regression on those touchdowns, as well as him being able to be a power back for them. Yeah,
he's definitely getting the touches. I mean, 25 last week, 31 the week before. His yards per carry is not great, only 3.4 and 3.7 the week prior. They did lose a little bit of help on the offensive line, which could be contributing to this. But like you said, I do think, his touchdowns are going to come. And I think that starts this week against Minnesota. He put up 87 yards last week, over 100 the week before. Grab Derrick Henry if you can, because I think starting now, he's got some good games ahead of him. And he's going to get that positive regression in the touchdown area. Now, another receiver I'm really hot on trading for. He just had a really down week. He's getting the targets, but week one, he didn't put up the touchdown. And last week, only 33 yards on 9 targets and 3 catches. And that's Allen Robinson. Obviously, Mitch Trubisky's been playing very well. But like I said, he hasn't gotten in the end zone yet. Week one, he played well against Detroit. And actually, I think this is the week that he's going to start, getting in the end zone and really put up points. He does have Indianapolis the following week, which is going to be a really tough matchup. But I like, the majority of his schedule coming up, and I think they're going to get him involved in the offense. So pick up go try to find Allen Robinson. Those owners are quite down on him because these first couple weeks have been pretty poor.
Yeah, he does have a huge game coming up this week. Their strength of schedule for a receiver is really pretty great. They do play Minnesota twice this week. They do play Tennessee. New Orleans lets up a lot of passing yards. I do think that he just needs to get that connection with Trubisky, and the touchdowns just need to come to him. That's not something that you don't think is going to happen for Allen Robinson. And with how he's been producing so far this year, people are going to be willing to get rid of him and not see a lot of value for him. And you're going to be buying super low on him with huge upside that you should see coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So go pick up Allen Robinson. And getting into our last trade for target, he just had a pretty good week, and Justin Herbert's going to be their quarterback now, at least for the time being. So people are starting to get a little hotter on him, but go pick up Keenan Allen. I think he's going to play now that Justin Herbert's in as quarterback. He needs a solid wide receiver one to rely on, and I think that's going to be Keenan Allen. He had 10 targets last week, and he caught 7 of them for 96 yards. Didn't get in the end zone, but go trade for Keenan Allen if you can. I like his schedule as well. Plays Carolina this week, and then has the Jets on the schedule, Miami, Jacksonville, Tampa, New Orleans. Not bad matchups, and Justin's going to be relying on Keenan Allen, so I think he's going to be a great play coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. He hasn't had terrible games. Week one he was able to catch the ball 4 times for 37 yards, which isn't amazing. But last week, just on a base, without even getting into the end zone, he was able to put up 15 points. not hitting anyone's radar is someone that they're going to want to hold on to and really keep if they're not really paying attention. So someone that you're going to want to look for as a trade target because it's someone you could probably grab and take away from someone. With Herbert there, you saw last week the upsides there. Herbert just moves the offense a little bit differently. So upsides there, grab them when you can. Definitely.
Love them.
But moving on to our first trade away target, these people you're going to want to take how their previous performances are doing. Are they high upside? Did people draft them early and they're big names? First guy we got for you is going to be Mark Ingram. Last week, he was actually able to get into the end zone and actually show himself to have a pretty good performance. Week 1, he was only able to get 2.9 points in a full point PPR league, rushing 10 times for 29 yards with that 2.9 average, where J.K. Dobbins found himself to ball out. So with Mark Ingram getting that 55 yards, 6.1 carry, and a touchdown last week, as well as that little bit of passing upside, I think it's a great time to trade him away when J.K. Dobbins is someone who's going to keep nagging into Mark Ingram. And again, I think he's going to be someone you're not going to be able to predict the good weeks for him. And you're better off just taking that value in him and sending it to someone else and let them take the risk.
Yeah, at the beginning of the season, I said J.K. Dobbins was one of my must-haves this year because I still think by the middle of the season, J.K. is really going to be out-touching and out-producing Mark Ingram, barring injury or anything like that. So trade away Mark Ingram if you can. People are hot on him right now because he did have a great game, and like John said, you're not going to be able to predict which game he's going to carry the ball, 10 times or less, or who's going to out-touch who. So I think right now is a great time to trade away Mark Ingram. He does have a couple favorable matchups coming up against Washington and Cincinnati and Philly, but trade him away now while people see that, and JK is going to eat in a bit. So trade him away.
Send that risk away. Another risk you're going to want to send away, David Johnson showed out week 1. Mm-hmm. People really got hot on him. Last week they played Baltimore. He didn't have a great performance, running the ball 11 times for a 3.1 average and only getting 16 yards on his 2 receptions. This is someone you're going to want to trade away just because he's a bum.
He's a bum.
He's a bum. He's a bum. Let's be honest, guys. So David Johnson, you're going to want to trade him away. And this is mainly because his name value, he had that good week 1. And if anyone was paying attention week 1, they saw that, oh, wow, David Johnson's actually good for Houston. Let's grab him. Now, be the smart guy. He's playing against Pittsburgh this week. Plays against Jacksonville, Tennessee. He plays against New England later in the year. And then towards your fantasy playoff season, he's actually going to be playing against Chicago, Indianapolis, and then Cincinnati. So 2 out of those 3, you're not going to want to be playing him against anyways. With how terrible the Houston offensive line is, David Johnson's just a running back I don't want to roster at all. Again, possibly has some big weeks here and there, but he's someone that's name value you're going to feel the need to start, but he's going to end up hurting you and possibly losing you weeks to where you're not even going to make those playoffs.
Yeah, I haven't liked him, since the beginning of the draft season. I still don't like him. Duke Johnson is coming back, and we saw the first half of the Chiefs game. He was involved in the offense. Duke Johnson was. So when he comes back, I think they're going to involve him a little bit more, or continue to involve him. And David Johnson is going to be hurting you because of that. So trade him away. He's got some good value. He did have the down week. So, but people are still kind of hot on him. So trade David Johnson away. I don't think he is worth that risk. Now moving to our last trade away player, and that is somebody that John and I, during draft season, we were pretty vocal about. We don't think that Mike Evans is going to have the a
year-end high-end receiver finish
or live up to that ADP, and I still don't think so. He just had an amazing game. Chris Godwin was out, and Scotty Miller didn't perform. But we said last week as well, play Mike Evans because Chris Godwin is out. However, Chris Godwin's out of concussion protocol. He's going to take that wide receiver 1 role again. And I think right now Mike Evans has about as high a value as he's going to have all season, barring injury to Chris Godwin or himself. So trade him away while you can. Chris Godwin's coming back. He's going to take that wide receiver 1 position back.
Yeah. You're really just trading him away because of the week that he had. And with Chris Godwin being back, you're not going to expect these high-end weeks again. And again, as Mike just said, it's that value. That trade value is super hot on him right now. A lot of people were scared of what's going to happen. He just balled out. He put up over 100 yards last week. It's time to get rid of him. You can get a lot for him, and you can really bolster your roster. You know where you're weak by this point. So see what players that person has. Stock up on them. You know, trade them away and get two players that are going to fill those roster spots if you're missing anyone. You can get really good value out of someone like Mike Evans right now, who has the name value and the recency bias to where it's going to be on everyone's mind.
Yep, 100%. I agree. Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, now it is time for our Thursday night preview.
It's a homer.
It is a homer for us. You can kind of see my hat if you're watching on YouTube. The Dolphins. It's camo, though, so they might not be able to see it.
He's actually bald.
Yes. So Miami Dolphins are playing at the Jacksonville Jaguars. John, who are you playing in this week's matchup? Anybody that really stands out to you? Anybody that you're like, yeah, I'm not going to play because I don't see the upside, or you like somebody else better maybe over the weekend? Who are you playing?
So I really like Gardner Minshew. I think he's someone who's going to be riding this hot streak. Dolphins defense their secondary was scary at the beginning of the year, but we're finding that it's not unbeatable. It's not even elite.
Well, and Byron Jones is out.
And I was going to say, with Byron Jones out as well, I think Minshew is going to be able to light it up. I know it's a primetime game, and he runs on swag. He just has that swagger factor. And so,
John likes swag.
I like energy. I like when a quarterback, especially a quarterback or a running back, has energy, character, and then shows out as well. They need to have both. That's why I like Baker as a rookie, but nothing after that because he hasn't been able to do it. But I think Minshew is going to light it up. And because of that, I like the fact that their receivers are going to ball as well. If DJ Chark misses the game, I really, really like Keelan Cole and LaVisca, especially as they're someone I would move into my receiver spot and move my receivers into a high-end receiver into a flex just so I can have them there. I do think that they're going to be both of them possibly have really great games if Chark misses. And as well as that, Robinson should benefit from that as well, opening up with those receivers, opening up the game. So I do like most of the Jags offense. You're definitely not playing Tyler Eifert. Hasn't been able to do too much. But go Jags.
Yeah, I agree. Especially like you said with Keelan Robinson, if DJ Chark's out, I think he's a smash play this week.
Who, Keelan Robinson?
I'm sorry, Keelan Cole.
Oh, I thought we could combine them.
Yeah, combine them. Yeah.
Is that do they have to play flex if you combine them?
I mean, maybe we could message Sleeper or something and tell
flex.
them to, a one spot for two players, something like that, combine them. But I like Keelan Cole this week. Like you said, the secondary for the Dolphins just is looking rough. We knew that the safety spot for them, is being a Dolphins fan, is going to be a pretty tough spot to fill. Now with Byron Jones out and Igbenogany didn't look great against the Bills. He was getting burnt left and right. You only really have Xavier Howard there, and even he didn't look great.
Yeah.
So that secondary for the Dolphins is really hurting. Keelan Cole will be a smash play. Now, James Robinson, he's the obvious number one there. I like him a lot this week as well. He had 16 attempts this week or this past week against the Titans, who a little bit better of a defense than the Dolphins.
A little bit?
Yeah. So
they got Clowney at the end there?
Yeah.
Fired?
Yeah. But but they have given up more points and yards to than the Dolphins. Actually, no, I'm sorry. They gave up one less yard. But anyways, Dolphins don't have overall a great defense. Their linebackers weak. So start James Robinson, start Keelan Cole, and if you're in a deeper league, I would say you could potentially flex Laviska Shenault. I don't think he'll have a great week, but I do like how they are getting him involved. So
yeah, they seem to be getting everyone involved when they do have receivers out there. But they keep them. It doesn't seem like there's a clear favorite on that Jaguars offense. It doesn't seem like anyone's going to make a clear number one grab anywhere. So I like the fact that if you have either of them, they're definitely solid flex plays to pretty solid wide receiver 2 plays. I like both of them, especially this week against the Dolphins.
Yeah. And then Gardner Minshew, of course. I mean, he is. We'll be getting to him a little bit later, but he's a great play this week as well. Onto the Dolphins side, I'm playing Devontae Parker. I'm playing Mike Gesicki. That's it.
What about Myles Gaskin?
I think he could have a solid week, but I don't think I don't think he's going to even really put up flex numbers. That backfield just scares me because really at any point Brian Flores could put in Jordan Howard and have him carry the bulk of the load. So it does worry me a bit. He has been very efficient, so I don't really see it happening. But I think the Jags are just maybe it's me being a down Dolphins fan, but I think the Jags are kind of going to whoop up on us.
I don't think they're going to whoop up on us. I mean, you saw us play relatively strong against the Bills. We're playing from behind the entire game, but the game was still pretty close. So I think it's going to be a good game. I don't think we're going to win. We're not going to win. But I think it'll be a good game. I do think it's going to be one of those, not a super high-scoring game, but I do think it's going to be something where there's going to be a handful of really relevant fantasy players. And as far as Gaskin goes, I do think that it's possible that the Dolphins start fading away that 3 running backs and start going more to 2. And I think that with the limited amount of work that he's been able to have, I mean, he's only gotten 7 carries last week for 7 targets, and he was still able to put up a pretty solid day. Not great, but not bad. And so I think that with the production he's been able to show, being young, it takes him a little bit to prove himself. He's the best proven to be the best running back in that backfield right now.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And I do think that they're going to fade away from that 3-back committee and go more towards, I think Gaskin's going to find himself getting more of a role in that backfield, especially with Matt Breida not being on a long-term contract.
Another thing, I guess, for me as well is it's a short week, and he was very involved this past week. You know, he got 14 total touches. So he's going to have some fatigue, I think, and this week could be one of those weeks because of the shortness of the week. I think could be one of those weeks where Jordan Howard and Matt Breida see more touches than they have been in the past couple weeks.
We'll have to see.
So that's my only concern about him. But
yeah, I'm only starting him if it's deep, and you've only rostered him if it's deep anyways. At this point, there's no reason for you to be reaching for him yet. So if you've rostered him, you're in a deep league. Gaskin.
Oh yeah. So
or a dynasty style.
Mm-hmm. So, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump into our must starts this week. You want me to get started, John?
Yeah, start him out.
Alrighty, I can do. Allen Robinson. We just talked about him a little bit. They are playing the Falcons this week. And of course, we've seen what the wide receivers do to the Falcons. Currently, they have allowed the second most fantasy points to the wide receiver position. They've allowed the second most yards to wide receivers. Obviously, they just got done playing a huge blowout game against the Cowboys, and I don't the Bears don't have the firepower that the Cowboys do. However, I do think this is, like we were talking about a little bit earlier, this is the week that I think Allen Robinson is going to get involved, and I love this matchup. It's kind of like, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, but I guess it's comparable to last year's play your tight ends against the Arizona Cardinals kind of deal, where the Arizona Cardinals were just horrific against them, and the Falcons aren't very, very good against the wide receiver.
Falcons aren't good against any type of
anybody,
any air yards. But no, I think that's a decent play. Are you running them all down, or are we going back?
Yeah, sorry. Kind of switching it up a little bit, so got to get used to that. My next play of the week is Logan Thomas. John, I think you were just 1 week a little too early on him. He did see the targets.
I was going to say, no, last week was me telling everyone, hey, he was the start of the week. He didn't do as well as I thought, but definitely a great time to pick him up because hopefully you noticed that he did get the target, so you held on to him. So you're right. Maybe a little early for this week. I should have said waiver pickup.
Yeah, and I mean, he's got 9 targets. He is had 9 targets last week, 8 the week before that. So they're trying to get him involved in that offense. He is the second best weapon on that team, passing option, next to Terry McLaurin.
Definitely, I mean, second best weapon.
Yeah, I mean, Antonio Gibbs is not bad. I just think fantasy, he's been a little bit down. But he's good. He is good. But anyways, the Browns have allowed the second most points to tight ends, but they've also allowed the second most touchdowns. They've allowed 3 in the past 2 weeks. Obviously, it's a smaller sample size, and they did play the Ravens with Mark Andrews. But one thing I do like, that they have allowed 148 yards in the air to the tight ends, and that is the 6th most currently. So I think it's going to be a great play to play Logan Thomas this week. He's going to see the targets, and he's going to put up yards and potentially even a touchdown.
Nice.
Yeah. So
love it.
Yep. My next is Kenyon Drake against the Lions. The Lions have been pretty bad against the running backs this year. They've also had some pretty tough matchups. Aaron Jones did run it up last week on him with 168 yards.
Ran it up their butt.
Yeah, that was pretty rough. I mean, 2 long touchdowns. He just killed it. Put up a 43-point game in half-point leagues. But I think it's going to be much of the same. They've already allowed over 350 yards on the ground. And like I said, obviously 168 of those coming from Aaron Jones, but that's not, you don't want that any week. And I think Kenyon Drake, he's been doing decent. He hasn't been giving you any of those 4 touchdown, 250-yard games that we saw last year. But, he is putting up did put up respectable numbers this past week, averaging 4.3 yards a carry against Washington. In the week prior, he played a San Francisco defense who had most of their weapons on defense. Unfortunately, a lot of them they've lost due to injury, but he still put up 3.8 yards a carry, and I think that we're going to see closer to that Washington style game in the yards per carry point, and I think he's going to be a smash play for the Cardinals this week. They're going to be able to hand them the ball off, and with how the Arizona offense has been looking, it could and how the Detroit defense has been looking, it could get pretty ugly if the offense of the Detroit Lions can't get it going. So
yeah.
Another one of my smash plays this week is Miles Sanders. He looked great this past week for the Eagles. Really the only weapon on that team. They gave him the ball 20 times, ran it for 95 yards and a touchdown. And one thing I love about Miles Sanders is he also gets the ball in the air. 7 targets. I like to see that in my running backs. You really want those guys who can catch the ball in the air. Not only that, he's also playing the Bengals. And similar to the Lions, I mean, they've allowed the most points against running backs, and they've also allowed the most yards, 358. So, and the Lions just had somebody run up 168 yards on them, and they still have allowed more than that. That's not good at all. And they've already allowed 4 touchdowns, 2 a week, which is tied for the second most. So I really like that this matchup for Miles Sanders, and I think he's just another smash play. I really think the Eagles are going to have to rely on that run game with Jalen Reagor out now. Carson Wentz doesn't look like Carson Wentz anymore, and Miles Sanders could be the face of that offense. And this week is not gonna not going to prove to be.
No, I think he's going to have a great week, especially with Jalen Reagor out. He's going to be getting a lot of looks. He balled out last week, coming back fully healthy. It was his first week, and you saw that with Boston Scott there. They did not look to have much of a running game going, so it does seem that offense does really rely on him. So I think that's a huge play this week.
Yeah. My last play of the week or must start is Jonathan Taylor. I know I'm double dipping. Last week I did it, and this week I'm doing it again. Love Jonathan Taylor. He looked great.
He's a baller.
He looked great on the ground. And get this, John.
I'm listening.
They're playing the Jets.
They're playing the Jets.
It's
a must start.
It is. So I don't have to say anything after that. I mean, that's about it. So, okay. John, to you.
All right. So if you guys want to win your leagues this week, listen up. So I understand everyone's going to know that this is probably someone that, thinks, oh, he just had a hot game last week, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about Dak Prescott, my quarterback number one that you should be playing this week, and that mainly is just becoming because of the matchup. He's going against Russell Wilson, who's on a tear for that MVP. He is going to be lighting it up against the Cowboys, and they're going to have to respond. We saw how they can respond to a high-scoring, high-powered offense in Atlanta last week, and I think it's something we're going to have to see again. He's going to have to play his heart out, and they have the receivers to do it. So this is just mainly due to the fact that this is going to be another one of those high-scoring games. I don't think you're going to see him run into the end zone 3 times, but I think you're going to see more than one passing touchdown from him. So I do think this is a great week to fire it up for Dak Prescott. Don't fade away for a moment, and don't just think that last week was a one-time thing. He is a talented quarterback, and this is the week to play him. But if you're not, you weren't lucky enough to spend that draft pick on Dak Prescott, make sure you guys have picked up Gardner Minshew if you haven't. This week versus the Dolphins, he is going to ball out again. I think I've mentioned this before. Out of his 11 full starts, he's only had 5 games where he's thrown for 2 or less touchdowns, as well as having 4 games where he's thrown for 3 touchdowns. So he's someone who can get the ball in the end zone. He's balling out this year so far. Only big issue I have with him is
his mustache.
No, I love the stash.
Okay, stash or beard?
I can't grow either, so I'm going to say stash because I think his stash is cooler than Fitz's beard. I think everyone can grow a beard like that. If not everyone.
Time out.
If you're a beard guy, you can grow a beard like Fitzpatrick. If you're a mustache guy, I don't know if you can grow that stash.
I think so. I mean, I would.
Again, this is someone coming through as zero facial hair experience. I'm just, moving on from that whole conversation.
This is the same beard I had 3 weeks ago.
So just the way that Jags offense runs, they do find themselves with 14 red zone. He has 14 red zone attempts so far, which puts him at 6th. And the quarterbacks, but he also has 11 interceptable passes, meaning that he was ranked number 1. But
they didn't intercept it.
They did not catch it, meaning that he is just accurate enough to make himself feasible. So light him up again this week. He's balling out, ride the hot hand, and I think you're going to see it again. Going against that weakened Miami defense, this is, again, a great time to play him. And pick him up. If you're going to be starting him this weekend, that means you get to pick him up and ride him out as long as he's hot.
Sad.
Yeah. And so going along with Gardner, he's going to have to throw it to someone. And again, against that Dolphins defense with DJ Chark possibly out, this is in the event that he is, you're going to want to start Keelan Cole.
John's on the Jag train.
I am on the Jag train. I'm actually starting. Oh, no, I just got rid of the Lambeau. But I'm actually starting 2 Jaguars in one of my leagues this week.
Well, Josh Lambeau's out.
It was 3. Until I had to get rid of Lambeau. So I was going to start 3. But no, there's someone who used to hate the Jaguars and someone who dropped Keelan Cole coming into the season. I think that, again, with DJ Chark possibly out, he's in for another solid, really good week, if not more upside than he should have had last week. So I think you're going to find him in the end zone again with more yards. Fire up Keelan Cole. Now, for another receiver that's going to be balling his butt off, possibly taking some targets away from Logan Thomas or just sharing that field for him. That's going to be Terry McLaurin. The Browns have been okay. They've had a good game and a terrible game, but that terrible game was coming up against the Baltimore Ravens. I think the Terry McLaurin's emerging a little bit more this season. Had a slow start so far this season, but definitely was able to ball out last week. Biggest problem I think he's going to face is Brandon Sharif being on IR. believe it was. Sharif on IR? Or was he just out for a few weeks? I know he's out. He's out. So he's not playing this week.
I'm not confident in that answer, so I have no idea.
So he's out for this week at least, which does mean that Dwayne Haskins did lose possibly his best offensive lineman, and that it's going to be a rough start for him this week. He might be having to throw that ball away and just get rid of it, running for his life. So I do think that Terry McLaurin's going to be going up against another, that Browns defense, who hasn't been the best against the pass. At the moment, they're ranked at 25th against the receiver, meaning they've been giving up about 28.1 to the receivers week by week. And I do think that with no other good receivers on the Washington football team, Terry McLaurin's going to ball out again and end up in that end zone. And then finally for you guys, with the Justin Herbert news that just came out, I am absolutely confident to tell you it is time to finally fire up Austin Eckler. Get him in your lineup. It is time. I'm so confident and so happy for this. So please don't come back on Tuesday and yell at me if this doesn't work out. But last week we saw that Austin Eckler was able to be fantasy relevant while sharing that backfield with Josh Kelly with no time to prepare Justin Herbert to take over that offense. That means Austin Eckler and Josh Kelly, who again is someone that you should be looking to play if you have him, should be able to come into this offense going against the Carolina Panthers, who have proven to be giving up the most rushing yards this year. Oh, no, they're not going against the Panthers. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they're.
Yeah.
Sorry. I second-guess myself way too much when I'm on here.
Yeah, you do. You need to not.
But no, so they're going up against the Panthers, who've given up the most rushing yards this season, or the most fantasy points to a running back this season. So I do think that between Austin Eckler and Joshua Kelly, both of them are going to have great games, but Austin Eckler is going to be the main guy there. Justin Herbert did show that he's free to dump out the ball, no problem. I don't know if they're going to be going back towards that Phillip Rivers style offense or if they're going to stick with what they're doing. But I think that Justin Herbert there makes all of the Chargers fantasy relevant, or give them a little more upside than they had with Tyrod there. And with the matchup that you have, this is the time you're going to want to be playing them.
Yeah, I agree. I love Austin Eckler this week. It was actually, John beat me to it, but he was going to be one of my must-starts this week. So great play. I really like what he did last week. He showed with Justin Herbert there, he can be a vital part of that offense. You're not going to second guess him, and he finishes running back 2 this week. So I definitely think that. And that was against the Chiefs, so that or better is in the works for Austin Eckler. I love him this week. So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that was our must-starts of the week. That was our Thursday night preview, and that was our trade fors and trade aways. Now, let's answer some of your questions. We got a couple here for you guys. Let's stick with the Chargers real quick, because this is a pretty good question from Hugh on Twitter. And he asks, with Herbert in at QB, who do you feel is the biggest benefactor? It's actually beneficiary.
We've schooled him on a lot of things so far.
No, we have not. He is a great listener. We love you, Hugh. But who is the biggest beneficiary? And I would say that is Keenan Allen. We saw him get 10 targets this past week with Herbert. And like I said at the beginning, that rookie quarterback is going to need somebody to rely on. And I think that Keenan Allen is going to be that guy, much like we see Joe Burrow and A.J. Green getting peppered with targets. They're not connecting. I think that Keenan Allen is really going to benefit from this. To be honest, the offense as a whole is going to benefit this, but the biggest beneficiary compared to their week 1 stats, I'm saying Keenan Allen.
So I'm actually going to change. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but I'm actually going to change where I'm coming at you right now. I think possibly someone who's going to be getting the biggest bump, it might be Josh Kelly. You did see last week his total rushing attempts went from 12 to 23, meaning that he is getting a pretty good share of that backfield, as well as just having 1 less target and reception than Austin Eckler last week and only 4 less yards. So both of them just were efficient. He wasn't super efficient in the running game, but the total attempts he got was up there. He is a rookie coming in, and I do know that the Chargers in every year previously has been able to sustain 2 fantasy relevant running backs. And I think that Josh Kelly is going to go from someone who, with Tyrod there, week 1, I thought that was going to be the best week he was going to have all season, rushing for 60 yards and that touchdown. I think that touchdown was the only thing that was going to make him relevant. But with Herbert there, it seems like they're free to give the ball off to either of them. They don't mind passing it to either of them, and both of them are effective. So I think that Kelly's going to find more opportunities to get on the field with Herbert there. And I think that bump alone is just enough for me to say that he's the one that's getting the biggest benefit from Herbert being quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, he did get a ton of touches. You know, they were playing with the lead most of the game, which could have affected. But like I said, I think the entire offense is really in for a big bump. I said we said at the beginning of the year, I said four games for Tyrod Taylor, similar to when he was in Cleveland. And I didn't see it happening this way, but if this offense as a whole really gets, a huge bump for me, but I do think with the draft capital that you spent on Keenan and his full potential, I think Justin could actually unlock it. But I do like Josh Kelly too. That's why he's one of our waiver wire pickups.
I like everyone on that. Offense
hard
now.
to choose, yeah.
I was very feigning away from most of their offense with Tyrod there, especially Henry. But I'm happy to have any of these 4 on my roster as long as the tier value between Kelly and Eckler is obvious.
What about Mike Williams?
No, I'm still staying away from him just because he's playing with that injury throughout the season. He's 1 or 2 bad shoulder shots away from being done for the year.
Yeah, I do think he should be on your roster. No. I'm not. Didn't say I'm playing him, but I do think he should be on your roster because he is a very talented receiver. So having him in my last spot on my team, on my bench, I want to see how it plays out these next couple weeks. But he could be somebody that down the road really helps. So I mean, he's a solid receiver. So that's why I'd have him.
No, I'm not. I'm going to disagree with that one. I'm going to think that he's absolutely someone you're going to want to drop and not have on your team. Even if he's someone you're going to have on your last spot on your bench, unless it's a dynasty league, he's not going to have much value this year. Week 1, he was able to get 69 yards on 4 catches, which was decent, but still, you're talking about someone who's already claimed to have an existing injury that isn't going to be getting any better throughout the time. So I don't see his opportunities or value getting any higher. Even if Keenan Allen goes down, I don't think that's going to bump him up to the point to where he automatically, or even has the I wouldn't even want to flex him.
Yeah, and I'd just have to disagree. I think he's a very talented receiver. So
he's talented, yeah.
And I think that with the addition of Justin Herbert, he really could flourish in this offense. But like you said, he is a little bit injured right now. But having him on my roster, in my last spot, I wouldn't be, upset. So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, next question, we have Joshua from Twitter, and he's asking, who do you like better for week 3, Jared Cook or Logan Thomas? John, who are you leaning towards this week? Jared Cook's playing Green Bay, and Logan Thomas, of course, is playing the Cleveland Browns.
So, like we just mentioned, Logan Thomas was my start of the week last week. Slightly underperformed for me, but he did get the targets, and that's something that's really important for a tight end. They don't get a lot of targets as it is compared to most other positions, so just having a lot of them coming your way is extremely valuable. Last week, we did find that Jared Cook was able to find slight relevance, only catching the ball twice, but targeted 5 times, but only and that's mainly because he was able to get into the end zone. He only had 13 yards. If not for that touchdown, you would have called him a huge bust, and a lot of people probably would have been starting to drop him. So I just think that you're not going to be able to count on that touchdown every week, even though Michael Thomas is gone. Sean Payton's talked about getting Emmanuel Sanders more involved. They obviously took those targets and threw them towards Alvin Kamara. So I think that you're going to be wanting to take that upside, especially this week with Logan Thomas over the risk of Jared Cook.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, last year when Jared Cook finished as the tight end 6, he only saw 2 games over 8 targets. He really relied on that touchdown, on those touchdowns. I mean, he had 2 games with 2, and that's really where his bread and butter was, in those touchdowns. And so far in these first 2 games, Logan Thomas has eclipsed 8 targets both games. 8 week 1 and 9 week 2. Like John was saying, the opportunity is really what you want in tight ends. And if you're getting 8 and 9 targets, and I think this week could even be more with that defense, but 8 and 9 targets for a tight end, that's what I want. Originally, I thought, I don't want to overthink this. Jared Cook is in a better offense, but after seeing the way Drew Brees was playing and the offense was playing, it was really ran through Alvin Kamara, and Drew Brees at least didn't show that he was Drew Brees, of the past.
No, don't say that.
Yeah, and it hurts me.
Don't be on that train.
It hurts me.
He looked fine.
Okay.
You're right. He's not as accurate as he used to be, but he's not. Everyone wants to give him crap. He threw 60%, which is.
I'm talking about Logan Thomas here.
Okay, I'm just saying.
All right. John can be in denial all he wants, but Logan Thomas, he's getting the opportunity, and I'm taking Logan Thomas this week over Jared Cook.
It's a great pick.
Yeah.
I loved Logan Thomas this week.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
If we just pick him every week, he's going to have one good week, right?
Oh yeah, he has to.
There we go.
Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Now, before we let you go, let's get into our beer of the day. And I apologize that we did not introduce it at the very beginning. I completely skipped over that. But we have been drinking on the La Rubia Blonde Ale from Wynwood Brewing Company. Wynwood Brewing Company was opened in 2013. They are Miami's first craft production brewery, and they were founded in the Wynwood Art District. Their tap room is located in the Wynwood Art District off of 24th Street, Northwest 24th Street. It's actually 2.2 miles away from the American Airlines Arena. So next time we're at a Heat game, we're gonna have to walk over there. Google Maps did say a 45-minute walk, so maybe Uber.
How far of a walk?
2.2 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a stumble.
Yeah, it is a stumble. So probably be Ubering there next game, but we're definitely gonna have to check it out. The art on their building, of course, Wynwood is known for their art in the art district and things like that. So if you go on on their website at I lost it here. It's wynwoodbrewing.com. That's WYNWOOD brewing.com. You can check out their the front of their building and all the graffiti on it and stuff like that. It's really dope. The bottle's pretty plain, it's just yellow and bright yellow and darker yellow zigzags on the bottle, with a red La that stands out, and then Rubia's in black. So I mean, it's a pretty basic bottle, but it's a pretty good beer.
It honestly, so I've done a lot of work down in Miami, and so going to the gas stations when I've just driving back home, it kind of just gives you that vibe of those domestic import beers from Cuba and Mexico. They're just really basic. Here's our brand, here's our name, we're good beer, drink us. And it's cool to see that they're made in Wynwood. It's a nice area, like you mentioned, but absolutely good beer. I really do enjoy it so far. It's a 5% ABV. IBU's coming at 16, so you're really not looking at any bitterness or much at all. It's actually pretty sweet. It does have a nice little weedy and bready taste. Really soft on the mouth. Carbonation wise, not bad at all. Really bit of mild sweetness, not so much sweet, but just not.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, it's hard to.
That when you take a sip of beer, there's that moment when you're just it's about to turn into that crisp, bitter, slightly bitter, hoppy flavor. But at that point, it kind of just mellows out and just keeps on rolling. It is I like it. It's a really nice, easy drink beer. It's great for like barbecues or something like that.
Yeah.
You're not going to be taking small sips. It's mouthfuls are really great. So I really like this beer. Blonde ale, pretty good one.
Yeah, very good. I'm gonna give it.
You're on a streak.
I'm on a.
I'm putting the 8 in there now.
Yeah, I think it might be higher. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna give it an 8.3. Solid, really solid beer. Like John said, great for barbecue settings. I'm gonna, start picking this up and taking it to any barbecues I go to. Anytime I'm cooking them burgers and ribs and whatnot, I'm gonna be grabbing one of these La Rubias, these blonde ales. They're great.
Yeah, so I'm personally not going to be too far behind you. I'm going to leave it at an 8.2. I think it's actually a pretty good beer. I would definitely recommend it to people if they're looking for something different than what they're used to. And I would definitely this is something I'd like to bring around, just with it being a little bit different from what most people might grab. Just to be like, hey, I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
This is a nice little blonde ale made in Wynwood.
Yeah. It's yellow.
It's got a pale yellow hay straw colored.
Oh, boy. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Don't forget to go to our Instagram page and our Twitter page at The Fantasy Tap, where you could win this beautiful jersey. You could take it from us. You could pretty much, it's like walking up into this house and saying, hey, I'm taking that jersey. We're going to send it to you. Yeah, I know.
So pretty.
It is very pretty.
Yeah, so we'll see you guys tomorrow after the Thursday night game. But something we need to mention, and if you've been following us on Twitter, you know that we've told you this before.
Good call.
Any of your Thursday night players, take them out of your flex position. Put them into their positional.
Wide receiver, running back, tight end. If you're in your super flex league, put Gardner Minshew in the quarterback spot, because you want the flexibility if an injury occurs. For instance, let's say Kenny Golladay. Let's say they decide not to play him this week. Then he's not sitting in your wide receiver spot. He's sitting in your flex spot, and maybe you don't have the depth at wide receiver. You can put a quarterback in there, or a tight end, or if it's super flex league, put a quarterback in there.
Which you should have in anyways. But yeah, so that way you have that opportunity to just mix it up, or have that flexibility to put in that running back if your receiver goes down. So just make sure you guys are moving your Thursday night players out of that flex position and into their standard positioning.
So, John, let them know where they can hit us up, tell us they love us, and things like that.
So you guys can write me a little cute message at The Fantasy Tap on Instagram and Twitter. Really, send us some beer recommendations, some start-sit questions if you guys want them on the show. If you guys want to look at our latest post and see our Kenny Golladay jersey ready for you guys to win, you just got to like it, share it with 2 people, tag them in a comment, and make sure you guys follow us at The Fantasy Tap. And then if you guys want to reach out to us in an email, it's going to be thefantasytap@gmail.com. Nice little website you can check out. And don't forget to check out the website as well.
Yep, and we are going to be working on Instagram and our blogs and stuff like that coming up. So be on the lookout for that. Anyways, guys, we love you. Let's watch this football tonight, and hopefully the Dolphins win.
Let's go.